There's a guy right now, maybe it's you, sitting in his apartment at 11 p.m. on a Wednesday. No roommate asking who finished the milk. No partner texting, "Where are you?" Just him, a laptop still open on the couch, and a silence he's gotten so used to he barely registers it anymore. He'll tell you he's fine, and he mostly is. I'm Ethan, and today we're getting into the head of the millennial man who lives alone, how he got there, what his actual day looks like, and whether the freedom he talks about is the whole story. Here's where it starts. As of 2021, 25% of 40-year-olds in the US had never been married, up from 20% a decade earlier. That's not divorce. That's a quarter of an age group that simply never got there. Less than half of American households have included a married couple since 2010. Not a blip, a permanent floor. Millennial men are sitting squarely in the middle of that shift. So what does a day actually look like? He wakes up, makes coffee exactly how he likes it, no negotiation required. Checks a group chat that's mostly memes at this point. Works, then maybe a side project nobody's watching him do. Dinner happens whenever. There's no schedule he didn't build himself. And that's what outsiders keep misreading. They look at the apartment and assume something's missing. A lot of these guys aren't mourning a life they didn't get. They're running exactly the one they picked. How did he get here, though? Because the road matters more than people assume. Some never really chose it, in the sense of announcing a decision. They just kept not getting married. Among adults, 25 to 39, 42% are currently unpartnered. A lot of these guys were in relationships that ran for years and just never tipped into a wedding. And the longer that goes on, the more life quietly architects itself around one person. You build an apartment, literally and otherwise, that fits exactly one guy. Then someone at a family dinner asks why he never settled down, like he owes them a paragraph. Then there's the guy whose relationship ended. Engagement, long-term thing, sometimes an actual marriage. This is where the research gets uncomfortable. Divorced men are documented at significantly higher suicide risk than married men, and then divorced women in the same range. The pattern researchers keep flagging isn't really about the breakup itself. A lot of men outsource their entire social infrastructure to a partner without noticing. She kept the friend group's group chat alive. She remembered the birthdays. When it ends, he's not just losing a partner. He's losing the operating system that connected him to other people, and he finds out how thin his own contact list is at the worst possible moment. That's the real split. The guy who learned solo living on purpose, over a decade, and the guy who got handed it overnight at 38 with zero training. Same apartment. Completely different experience of it. Is he an introvert who just prefers this? Some are. But it's not that these guys don't want people. Ask them directly, and most will say friendship matters enormously. The problem isn't the wanting, it's the maintaining. Men are consistently less likely than women to join a recurring group or volunteer somewhere with built-in structure. And the friendships they keep run on what researchers call high passion, low vulnerability. Hours of real conversation about sports or politics, and functionally zero conversation about not having had an actual exchange with another human in 11 days. That's the part that lands. These guys have friends, sometimes going back 15 years. But the connection runs shoulder to shoulder instead of face to face, built through doing things side by side. When your shoulder to shoulder guy lives 4 states away because that's where the job went, the friendship doesn't die. It fades into a group chat nobody opens anymore. So is he lonely? Some of them, more than they'd admit. Loneliness in men tends to spike hardest in the late 30s and 40s, exactly where millennial men are right now, before easing as people get older and often get better at maintaining what they have. Not guaranteed, but it's a pattern, not just a hope. What does he do with all the unscheduled hours? The stereotype falls apart here. People picture a guy on a couch, lights off, scrolling. Sometimes, sure. But a lot of these men have hobbies that eat entire weekends and need no audience. Building a custom PC down to the cable management, running a half marathon nobody's tracking but him, cooking a real meal on a random Tuesday and not apologizing for the effort. Some fill every open hour on purpose because stillness makes them restless. Others sit with the quiet like an old roommate. Both are managing the same underlying thing, a life with zero built-in accountability. Nobody's asking what he did today. For some guys, that's the whole appeal. For others, it's the thing that slowly wears a groove into them. Does he love this or hate it? Honestly, both, depending on the week. On a Saturday, when the apartment's clean and there's nowhere he has to be, there's nothing better. King of a kingdom built for exactly one person. He wouldn't trade that for much. But there's the version he doesn't post. A bad lab result and an empty chair next to him in the waiting room. A holiday that passes without his phone buzzing once. The moment right before sleep when the apartment makes a noise and there's no one 2 feet away to ask if he heard that too. That's the actual line between being alone and feeling alone. A lot of these guys have spent years quietly practicing independence, so asking for company now genuinely doesn't occur to them as an option. Something got installed early, a recession hitting right as many of them were starting out, institutions failing to hold up their end more than once. And self-reliance stopped being a personality choice and became the only reasonable setting for a world that kept changing the rules. That wiring doesn't switch off just because the job's stable now. It's why he can go 3 years without a real, unscheduled conversation with an old friend and register nothing is wrong. And it's why, when something actually is wrong, he still doesn't reach for the phone first. He's not broken. He's built, assembled by a specific set of circumstances, and every piece of how he moves through a week reflects that. He can fix his own plumbing, manage his own retirement account, cook himself dinner for no reason, and go weeks without a conversation that isn't logistics. And he'll call all of it freedom. Some of it genuinely is. But freedom with the connection stripped out has a shelf life nobody warns you about. If you're the guy on the couch right now, apartment quiet, watching this, I'm not going to tell you to join a rec league. That's not your speed. But there's a guy in your phone you haven't actually called in a while. Not texted. Called. Not because anything's wrong, just because it's been long enough. One call. See what happens. Because the guy on the other end is probably sitting in a quiet apartment too.